afternoon. I'm the king, commonly referred to as Zan Truluck, and this is my painting, Representation Matters. So, representation matters just as a phrase and an ideology is so important to everything that I embody in my artwork, but specifically to the idea that if we don't see images of ourselves represented in all the different avenues of life, we begin to lose ourselves, we begin to devalue ourselves, devalue blackness, and it creates this never-ending cycle of just feeling inferior, which supports the white supremacy complex in theory. So Representation Matters was simply a trip to Hobby Lobby one day. I don't even recall what I was looking for, glue sticks, something like that. But I'm walking through Hobby Lobby and I see some artwork that I think is actually pretty cool. And one piece is over my door here, just like a little comic thing with my name, little trinkets in the store, and then I saw this king portrait. And the king card itself didn't have, it didn't have any, well, plainly it was a regular king card. So it was just this with the image on the other side mirroring the same king as cards tend to do. And when I walked through that day, something just clicked. I was just so tired of seeing nonstop imagery that didn't represent us, to be spoon-fed for 30 years. I think I did this piece in 2017. So to be spoon-fed for 30 years, whiteness as my lens to look at the world. So this is not to say that I have some issue with white people. It is to the idea that everything that I've ever been shown has been a representation of white culture, and black culture was an afterthought. When you look at these small scale items that we never pay attention to being representations of what the world should look like and what we should be encountering on a day-to-day basis, every time you play with a card deck, all of the face cards are white. Specifically when you're thinking about what they represent, so the royalty, the royal court, are you telling me that there are no black images of kings? Are you telling me that my existence is supposed to be born in slavery? I'm never supposed to remember what was happening before that time. Even up until the 1900s, we still had emperors in Africa. Black royalty is a thing, however, it was never represented in something as minute as black people love to play spades. An alternative title for this piece was called a Spade. And black people love to play spades, but our cards never have black people represented on them. It's like, are you going to tell me that Mansa Musa didn't exist? Back again to the emperors. You're going to say Haile Selassie didn't exist. You're going to tell me that our blackness shouldn't be represented as something as simple as this. But then in my great-grandmother's house as I was growing up, when you look back at those items that are continually fed to us and the visual consumption of non-blackness, my grandmother had a white Jesus on the wall. You have this image of a man with the blue eyes who we know is actually Cesare Borgia, and you have this person that is completely different than the description that we're fed or that we're told in the Bible or that we read. I'd imagine Jesus's hair looked a lot more like mine texturally, but this gentleman with the flowy hair on her wall staring back at us was placing salvation in the context of whiteness even. So as I'm walking through the store, I'm walking through Hobby Lobby, and I'm just like, I just can't stand for this anymore. And I took it home, and this was probably one of the quickest paintings I've done. Not to say that the thought wasn't there, but it was just actually a cathartic moment of what would it look like to change this imagery. So I head home, and I was actually working on another piece at the time. The piece I was working on was my, it was 1 Peter 5:8, which go check out that video if you haven't seen it yet. And I actually stopped working on that because I felt so compelled to work on this. And I thought about it as I was working through it. I was wondering, how are my white friends or non-black friends going to feel when they enter my home and they see this piece? And that moment gave me pause, because I wonder if the world, in America specifically, ever wonders that when these people are sitting on the cutting room floor and editing videos for movies and TV cinema, and they're saying, I wonder how black people are going to feel that they don't see themselves in this, that this is a representation of America, but this film has no black people whatsoever. And again, representation matters.